The point of this is to not sound like two stuffy lawyers. I mean, I know you got on a vest, and I know I've got on a jacket. But
yeah, but I got my sleeves rolled up, man.
Man, I've got on cufflinks. But the point of this is to be two real people that are finally trying to talk to what real people must be listening to. This.
And we don't want it to be hubris. So I guess can we talk a little bit about inch laws? What can we provide to the listeners if they were so inclined or believe that they could use some help? Inch law can offer some things that it can offer it outside of Virginia.
Well, one of the things that we've been thinking about is how might other attorneys use the trauma focus that inch law has. Are these things that other attorneys can use on their own, or are these things where lawyers can partner with or couple with inch law to take advantage of some of the things you've been describing? One of the main things that we've seen is that attorney who has a client who just can't hear them, or that attorney who has one of his own witnesses who just can't seem to get out of the way of the traumas that they've experienced in a way that will make them an effective communicator when they get to court. And you had described what your neurosomatic shift is, and those are things that maybe a therapist might have some ability to tap into. But what I think makes this position a little bit unique is you're not a therapist, but rather you're an attorney and who knows exactly what would be necessary to have a witness or a client or any other person that the attorney might be working with able to effectively communicate when he gets or she gets into court.
And to get them out of defensiveness, right? Clients that just won't see reason and are just too defensive to hear, right? So I would love to get more of those. I'd love to start helping our colleagues. Like you could probably think of a couple clients in yourself, especially early on. I didn't want to take the case, but if you were to bring me the client and yourself, and it's not just in criminal stuff. It's in personal injury. It's in workers' comp. Lawyers are handling crises. So every client, for the most part, unless you're doing mergers and acquisitions, and even some of that might be, but anywhere where it's kind of like a crisis situation for the client.
Right, and I think also about those scenarios where I've got a client who maybe there's a perfectly fine offer for them in a civil case, and they don't want to accept it because they've got a cousin or an uncle who said your case is worth $10 million instead of $5 million. And there are so many things in their personal experience that makes them not able to hear that. Same thing if there's a criminal case. I've got a client who, if you have a client, for example, who is caught dead to rights on video, and you know that he doesn't want to accept a plea, but you know that it's going to mean life for them, it's their inability sometimes for you to communicate from a different perspective that maybe you didn't learn in law school.
Yeah. So yeah, there's some bad cases that have mandatory life in prison here in Virginia now too. So yeah, anytime that a client is defensive and is not listening is what I'd love, and even the earlier the better. But even if it's coming up to finalization of a civil case, an old friend of mine, my friend Elliot used to say, what did he say? Just because it's not the offer you want doesn't mean it's not a good offer. Right. For the circumstances. I think that goes back to what we were talking about what actually comes out in court. Because I think a lot of people, will say often, there's three sides to a story. You're my side, your side, and the middle is the truth, until it's their story, right? And then they're like, no, this is the only one.
Well, the reason that's important is because when you go through the trial process, about 85% of the decisions that are made are that of the attorney, whether or not I call this witness, whether or not I introduce this evidence. But a judge once told me the only three decisions that are really up to the client are whether or not he wants to plead guilty, whether or not he wants to testify, and whether or not she wants a trial by jury. Basically, everything else are the attorney's decisions.
I would say that there's a whole big elephant outside of that. And that's it. Is the client going to do the mitigation that everyone agrees would be helpful, right? And that happens in personal injury, other places, because what do they say? The case is always the best it is when it walks in the door. The case gets the worst, from the moment the client walks in the door, the case just gets worse. It's the best it's ever going to be when it walks in the door. And then all the turds are going to come flopping up to the top. And some of those have been taken after the case came in the door, right? Because especially people that are in, if you feel like you personally deal with trauma, if you say, oh, that triggered me, right? I get triggered. if you say you have CPTSD or PTSD, right? If these are the labels that the client is using for themselves, that it identifies for them that they are particularly seeing that this is it inhibits their ability to actually function and react as opposed to respond. And what that does is it prevents their cognitive load to actually do the work. So the jargon aside, if you are a lawyer or a client or a lawyer that has clients that need to do continuous mitigating effort, so that you're talking like workers' comp, personal injury, right? Any like medical malpractice, because they're required to do what? Continued therapy or otherwise in a situation where they may already be in a hopeless situation, right? And they may already, if you got really hurt right now and weren't able to go to work, but the lawyer said, hey man, you gotta make your doctor's appointments, but you gotta put food on the table, and right, and so you can't think, and that now what's going on is now the cognitive load is now decreased, because now the being doesn't have the ability to actually work through all those problem solving mechanisms under that emotional load.
Now, just to tell these folks, how can they get in touch with you? How can the lawyers get in touch with you? How can clients get in touch with you? Website, phone, how do they get you?
Inchlawva.com. I think Billy will probably make sure that's put in there, inchlawva.com. What's our phone number right now? 804-929-6825.
Sounds right.
That sounds right to me too. That'll be put in there. Trauma Philosopher. We're going to be underneath Trauma Philosopher on YouTube, so you'll be able to find this under Inch Law under Trauma Philosopher. So we're going to be doing preventative legal on Inch Law for right now, until the viewers or someone else steps forward and convinces us that the name that they have needs to be used.
And if you like what we're talking about, go ahead and like it. Go ahead and follow us. Go ahead and
subscribe.
See what we're going to talk about next week, because I can only promise you this is going to get better. Yeah. One of the things I really want to do with this is make this your channel, your podcast. You know, if you think that there's some really interesting things that I wish a lawyer would be honest about, we'll do it. You know, we'll talk. We're not afraid to talk about those things.
And I'll tell you the other thing that I want to do with this. I want to get we have a really, I mean, I wish I could show you I wish I could show you the setup that we have here. But we have all the technology that we can actually turn this into a call-in like radio station. So we can literally do for those people out there old enough to remember Frasier with Roz, you know, but or Sleepless in Seattle, right? But we're looking. I want to make this kind of interactive. I want this to be like really helpful for practitioners and clients alike.
Sounds great.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much.
Hey.
It's my friend Vaughn Jones, and I'm Charlie Inch.
Great to be with you guys.
Let's do that aspect again. Like yeah. So, everyone, I'm Charlie Inch.
I'm Vaughn Jones.
We'll see you again at the next episode.
Sounds great.
Everyone, thank you. This is we're wrapping up, I think, the first episode of our new podcast, whether it's Trauma on Trial or whatever some of the other names we were talking about.
I have my favorite, but I'm not going to say what it is. I mean, okay. I'm just going to wait, and maybe we do a poll, and then they'll all say that I was right.
Okay. Well, you know, we can always change it. You know, like it's nothing's. You know, it's just letters in the ether, right? So, Inch Law is offering outside of Virginia offerings, as long as in Virginia offerings, and I think we're offering some things to lawyers and clients alike.